But I'm not a small girl.
We've just started, you're going mad.
So my name is Hayley Melunda. I'm a public speaker. Some of my clientele has been Microsoft, Google, JP Morgan, Clipper Chance. I'm sitting on the brand board of Wagamama.
Hearing a lot of $1 million brands there, man. I'm kind of uncomfortable in the sensible. The idea of accepting something for what it is mad to me.
We live in a time where people just get gas to beat in the room.
So what would make us public speakers?
Call yourself one.
Do you think that?
Yeah, I do. There's no aspiring. You are it.
That was one of my hardest moments.
It was kind of like I tried to take my own life and what?
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I want to start off with this.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to watch.
Invest in yourself, man. And what I mean by investing in yourself is invest in courses. Like, I've spent probably about like 15K in terms of how to become a better speaker and how to build my personal brand. And, you know, if you came and told me that that was the amount of money that I would have spent, I would have told you no way. But then when you're learning from somebody who's also a multi-millionaire, it's kind of like, realistically, it's worth the investment. And we have to also remember, like, a jungle doesn't come without one seed. And you can't be praying that God is going to give you a jungle if you're not willing to put down a seed.
Cool.
Yeah.
So on that episode, you had a rant. This is how we first met.
Yeah.
You had a rant.
Yeah.
And there was another clip, which obviously we was trying to both find this morning.
Yeah.
And you said in the clip, the reason why you're not making six figures is because you haven't got six-figure friend. And you said it very bluntly and very harshly. And all I heard was the girl's definitely from ends, but who had a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because what you were saying is something I'm very big on, Cam's very big on.
Yeah.
But what really, I would say two things got my attention. Number one, what the point was, and number two, how it was delivered, which I think is a great way to really summarize who you are, what your points are, and what you deliver.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Why was it to you important, two main things, the invested in the courses and being around six-figure earners?
Just similar to what I said in the video you just shared, like there's no way that you can expect a jungle and you're not willing to put the seeds. And I just generally believe in the fact that you have to be willing to put a seed down. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, they want so much, but they're not willing to give and they're not willing to put in the work to actually get it. So I'm 100% all for, you know, you don't arrive at your next level, you study for it.
Yeah.
And I know that the reason why.
All right, no, we're gonna stop you.
Yeah.
You don't arrive because you're one thing I got
you're
about you just drop gems.
Yeah.
Like you're just going like let's slow it down. So you don't arrive at the next level. Run that one back again.
You don't
please.
arrive at your next level, you study for it.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people just want to arrive, but you don't
Yes.
just arrive, you have to study it. In terms of public speaking, I've been doing it for 10 years, but these past 10 years, I've met Eric Thomas, I've met Inky Johnson, you know, and I didn't just meet them in the UK, I invested the little money that I had when I was 19 and I flew myself out to America, Philadelphia, and I done my one-to-one meetings with them.
Cool.
And, you know, I was able to give them my book, have my own conversations with them because of the fact that I'm trying to ensure that I'm just not just arriving, because I think unfortunately we live in a time where people just get gas to beat in the room. They're gas to be at the table, but a lot of people get on the table, but it's about staying at the table.
No, you're going mad.
You're going crazy.
We've just started. You're going mad.
Yeah.
Okay, first and foremost, let's. Oh yeah, thank you, bro. So all right, I want to go back to. There's so much you just said that. The reason why we obviously wanted you to come is because you say a lot of the stuff that we resonate with.
Yeah, cool.
And it's really refreshing as well coming from a woman as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of these views can be seen to be masculine views, and I don't think they are. I think they're just hustler views, they're go-getter views, they're ambitious people views. So going back to what you just said about, there was so much, but going back to what you just said about the investing in courses and people being happy to be in the room.
Yeah.
Something that we both say, so we had a community, it's just pivoted recently, called In-House. It's a members club. And within that, our whole tagline was, your network is your net worth, only if you do something with it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just think it's just about just number collection.
Yeah, true.
And I went into that room like, you must even see it yourself. You get a lot of people that go to so many networking events, but yeah, they're in the room, but what are they? They might even have got numbers, but they don't make any plays with the people. Like, look, me and you've only been connected maybe less than 2 months, and we're already making plays.
Right.
That's obviously a testament to both of us. So let's get into that a bit further. So when you say about the value of being in a room versus doing something with that, why has that been so important to you?
Yeah, because I just believe that if you are somebody who wants to make change, you have to add value. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, they just get gas at, how do I say it? Like, they're just happy to just say, this is what I've done, or this is what I'm doing. No one's actually, you know what I mean? I think I'm just happy to be here. And it's kind of like you're in a museum. Like, you just walk in, you're just happy to look at the statues. But for me, it's like, don't you want to be the statue that they're making you, like, they're coming to say, listen, this is someone that we need to make a statue of because of the moves that they make.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that I want to be that person.
Yeah.
Like, I always come and say, like, you know, when people are friends with celebrities and they're gassed to be like, oh, this is my friend, but why don't you work to be that person that people say, I'm happy to be associated with?
100%.
And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, they're just happy to be in the room. They're just happy to be like, this is my friend, or this is who I know. And that's another thing in terms of networking. It's like, a lot of people come and say, oh, they know you. But the reality is, do they know you? And what level do they know you? Because to have someone connected on Instagram is very different to somebody having your number. And then there's two types of numbers. Like, I've got 2 numbers. Which number do you have? Do you have my personal or my business?
Yeah. Big fact.
And also, my phone's on Do Not Disturb. So the people closest to me, so my husband, my best friend, obviously my family, my agent, they're the ones on my favorites. Because my phone's always on Do Not Disturb. Right. So these times, most people, when they call me, it's going straight into my voicemail. Because I have to protect my energy. I always come and say, like, you know, whoever has access to your ear has access to your mind. So most times, the reason why my phone's on Do Not Disturb is because I don't want anyone that's going to come with crap. So with me, I just give the opportunity where my phone's going to say, you've got a missed call from this person. I have the choice. As to whether I'm going to entertain that energy.
That's to be fair, that's most of the teams that that's definitely his life. But agreed. So you see, for you, when it comes to networking, like, obviously now you've built a bit of a following and you've got a brand. Are you still actively going to networking events?
110%. I am like, one thing about me, if you don't know, one place that I'm always active is LinkedIn. The reason why I'm active on LinkedIn is simply because of the fact that with the type of public speaking that I do, I'm a corporate public speaker. So a lot of people in corporate America, corporate UK or wherever, they're on LinkedIn. So I'm more than happy to go and shoot my shot. I will DM the most influential CEOs. You will see, literally my husband, literally even just today, I was screenshotting at all the people that I've DM'd. And the thing is, as I said, it's being able, what you said actually, is being able to utilize that network. So if I'm connected with you, I'm actually going to drop you a message. Whether you say yes or no, that's up to you. But for me, I'm still going to put myself up there. And with networking events, I only go to networking events if I think it aligns with me. I really believe in alignment. Like, does this align with my values? This is aligned with opportunities that I think that I could actually really tap into, or does this align with my purpose? So one of the things that I'm passionate about is giving back to young black girls. So when it comes to young black girls from ends, any initiatives that I think that is actually going to put young black girls into rooms that they may not necessarily have access to, I don't mind being that person to use my platform and to use my influence to be a spokesperson for that. Because coming from an area like mine, I didn't grow up with no dad.
What area did you come from?
Canning Town.
Okay.
So growing up in an area like mine in E16, it's like grew up with no dad, you know, African mom, single parent. You know, for me, it's kind of, I wouldn't say the streets raised me, but culture raised me in a way. Like, I grew up with the Channel U's and My Wife and Kids, Fresh Prince. Like, when I think about...
older than you, so you know.
When I think about, like, the representation of father, like, my representation of a father was Michael Kyle from My Wife and Kids.
Cold.
Or Uncle Phil.
Mine was Uncle Phil. Yeah. That was
Phil
everyone's dad growing up,
from Fresh
man.
Prince, do you know what I mean? And obviously for me, it was like being exposed to a type of lifestyle where people had been shot on my road, stabbed on my road, raped on my road. Like, there's been altercations that you're seeing man them run away and police come and ask you, what did you see? And you have to come and say, I didn't see anything. Because that's how culture has raised me. And I think for me, when I think about the opportunities that were offered to me as a young black girl from ends, like, not in a rude way, but my work experience was in Curry's. My work experience was in Curry's. And that was the type of options that we were given as young black girls. Like, if you wanted to do something, it was aim high, but not too high. Because someone like you can't go into those rooms. And I never want to be anyone who will feed into anyone's limitations. I want to actually expose people to possibilities. And that's why I do what I do, so that people come and know that there's a possibility. Because realistically, someone like me shouldn't be in the rooms that I'm in. I shouldn't be making the money that I make. I shouldn't have the companies that I work with.
Keep going, man. Keep going.
You know, I'm sitting on the brand board of Wagamama. I work with influential CEOs. I get flown around the world to speak. You know, I make over 6 figures, not just in speaking, but even from my course as well. So the fact that I have specific statistics, it's interesting because at 15 I nearly got stabbed. Because,
really?
At 15 I nearly got stabbed because I started hanging around with gangbangers, and I thought, okay, cool, like, the only way really to make it, I was too scared to do fraud, innit? So when everyone was banging squares and asking for squares, I was too scared. Like, people would be like, bring me your mum's square. I was like, I'm not doing that, innit? My mum will bang me, yeah? But I remember being in that predicament where, you know, I nearly got stabbed and stuff. And I remember actually that was actually the time that I actually said that I was going to change. And that's when I said that I can't be a product of my environment. Like, I actually have to be somebody that's going to speak. I have to be willing to not be afraid to basically fly. Because I think, unfortunately, in our society, we focus a lot on falling and failing. But 100%. I just think, no, but what if you fly? And I think it's that whole crabs in a bucket mentality of like only one of us can get to the top. I just don't believe in that.
I want to interject on that. So the comment that you made, and we're probably going to keep bringing it up because again it was quite dominant to me, which was the whole you're not making six figures, and we'll insert the clip because you're not around six figures.
Yeah.
And you said it just as harsh as that, which for us is what we call cutting the crap. Yeah. And I want to switch it. I want to switch it to you. Yeah. Because I always say. Obviously who you're around. Like the reason why that resonated with me personally is because I grew up in the end, just like everyone else did. Pretty much all of us here did. And in that scenario, I was very, I was popular, I knew everyone. I knew all the men who were on the road, but I also went to a private school in the middle of the hood.
Oh,
so
wow.
I had a diverse experience,
Okay.
So it was always like that battle between, I know what's right because I'm going to the right school, I'm seeing abundance, and obviously I'm seeing different when I'm outside. And for you, I know obviously for you, you went to a good school, in a good environment. Would you say you was drawn out in any way, shape or form?
I think, strangely, because I went to a good school, I fell into the category of kids that are bad at the good school.
Yeah.
It was like, I felt, you see like at schools, I feel like there's always a group of people, some people are good, some people are bad, some people are this. If I went to a bad school, I would have been in the group of good kids. Because I'm at a particularly good school, it's like I was malleable, I was either way, and I kind of just fell into a group of more bad kids. But bad kids at a good school aren't actually doing bad things.
Yeah, because the bar's just so high.
Yeah, the bar's just high.
Yeah. So it's nonsense. So the reason why I'm highlighting that is because for me, a big part of what helped me like level up in life was definitely, and it was always been my network.
Yeah,
I've always been able to get in that room. And a lot of that has been, which we'll get onto in a bit, like my sales experience and confidence, etc. But what I want to really touch on is when we talk about things like this, and I get asked this question a lot, and we all probably do, is how do I get in those rooms and what do I do in those rooms to be able to make that connection? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I get that question all the time. Like you're saying network, but what do you do?
Yeah.
What would you say to either of you? Like what would you, starting with you, what would you say those steps are?
I think an important thing is to be valuable. Like, I think it's to be valuable first. I feel like we all want to network up. Like I would love to go and do business with Jay-Z, but I can't offer him nothing. So I can't go, like, it's difficult to. And I don't want to say I can't offer him anything, but I think you need to,
I was going to say,
yeah. Don't worry, I caught it though. I caught it. But I think you just have to be able to be valuable first. And I feel like if you're valuable, people smell that. And then when they smell it, then they're going to be more open to actually talking to you.
How would you say you become valuable?
Just, I think skill set. Whatever the skill set is, a skill set, a value, something that you can bring, and then I think that makes it easier for people to take you in. So, for example, we met in a way that wasn't formal networking. Like we actually
this
met.
is how we met, by the way.
We actually met at a party, like at a yacht party in Dubai. Like that's not something
When?
A year
like
ago.
a year ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, randomly.
Yeah. And that's not something that you would do
well.
here, but it's like we change our environment in a good environment, so your guard's automatically down. If I'm on the yacht, you're on the yacht. You don't think that I'm just any person. So that's the first thing. Next thing is, once we're talking, you think, oh, that's valuable, and I think you're valuable, and then we just started to build something from there. Yeah. Whereas if I was just on holiday and I was just drunk and I was just whatever,
and your
then
value
I wouldn't have been
show.
Yeah.
But I think what's important about that, you're right about having value, but I think what you just touched on is even more important is knowing when to show that. Like don't go to a networking event, burst out your face. Do you know what I mean? Because now someone's gonna, like, how they've met you is very important.
How they're gonna,
like that's why for me I'm really big on always being on. So like little things that might not matter to most people, to me it always matters because subconsciously they're noticing it. That could be the fact of, like, I don't know, offering someone a drink or being polite or smelling good or just having a smile on your face. When someone might catch your face and you got a screw face, you may never get to talk to that person again.
No,
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I feel like, yes, I agree with the value, and I think it's important to build that value. But I think it's also important, what we used to say luck is opportunity meets preparation.
Yeah.
So it's knowing that you're in an opportunity and you're prepared to make the most out of it. What do you think is important to how to actually build those connections?
Be human.
Cold.
I feel like a lot of people are so systematic in terms of the way they network.
Yeah.
So they've got a particular script and they feel like they got to, they feel like they got to, speak a particular way or, act a particular way. Like I remember somebody saying to me last week, I was with somebody who like mentors me and he says, Hayley, you're real gully, don't be afraid to be gully in them rooms.
I ain't heard the word gully.
Gully is cold.
Yeah. So I was like, that's so interesting because there was a time, unfortunately, where I did feel like I had to articulate myself better or I had to kind of come across as, well put together and stuff like that. But then I realized in particular rooms and spaces that people didn't look like me. If anything, they actually wanted to hear about my experiences that I was trying to hide away from. Yeah. And it just came from me just being
authenticity.
Human. Being authentic, like being human. Like I don't shy away from the fact that I'm a person of faith. I don't shy away from the fact that, yes, I grew up in Eds. I don't shy away from the fact that I grew up from a single parent house. I don't shy away from anything. Why? Because my thing is that if you're for me, we'll connect. If you're not, move on.
But was you always like that? So I'll give you an idea to give you a bit of background to the Cut the Crap brand. So for years prior to me meeting Cam, I was running businesses. I moved to Dubai 2020 and I hit a rock bottom. Like went bankrupt, businesses all failed.
Wow.
I think I've seen you speak about certain failures as well. And I had for about 7 to 8 years always been like I'd started sales at like 20. From about 20 to like 28, I had never earned less than 250k a year. So I was used to a certain amount. And naturally that builds a persona, it builds a reputation. So then I've gone to Dubai, flying high, like ready for the world, and then literally bang, hit the rock bottom.
What was that? Was that COVID? What was
it was a result of COVID, bad business decisions, committing to things that weren't necessarily in my field. I also put my face to a crypto project that had backlash. Then my rapping business, like no one was rapping cars during lockdown, so it was just a myth to even get business. And all of those combined, whilst being over there, I also had tax issues as well. It was just
tax issues in Dubai, tax issues
in London, in UK, whilst I was over there, and things I had to stand up and just face, like I had to deal with, which put me in a lot of debt at the time. So bouncing back from that, one thing that happened, and this is around the time me and Cam met, is a friend of mine used to always say the phrase "cut the crap," but he used to say it on a vibe of like, he'll ask me something, but like he's almost saying like, "Tell me the truth, like cut the crap, bro, like don't cap it," kind of thing. And I took to it. And then I ended up doing like my, like when I don't know if you ever had hiatuses from online, but I was ghost online for like a year. It's like, I thought the world was against me. I hated it. It was a lot mentally because it can really get to you when you're alone in another country. And especially the personal brand thing, like you must know yourself, like we become quite vulnerable to people.
Of course.
So when I came back online, I was on this Cut the Crap thing. Before we'd even had a logo, I was just saying it on a podcast. And then the reason me and Cam connected was because I was going through his content and he was telling the harsh truth. Same thing as to why I fucked with you. Like, there's very few of us, though, I would say in the UK space that talk like this. And I was looking through his posts and he was talking about, like, making money, then losing it. And then he was standing next to, like, what was it, a Vauxhall? Yeah. Like a Vauxhall Astra. Like, and he was saying that this is what 20k looks like. Something along them, like, basically saying, like, he was making 20k a month at this time. So for him, he's still making all the money and he's living at his mum's house. And he was transparent about that. So I was like, right, I like this guy. So that I told him, look, Cut the Crap is something I'm going to start pushing. Anyway, it led to me going online and removing the mask, becoming a lot more authentic online,
I love that.
telling the real raw stories, talking about like losses. And if I'm honest, like I remember my sister messaged me when I put out the first post and she was like, well done, because I know that must be, and it stayed with me because no one realizes how hard that is, isn't it? Like now I make it seem easy. We all do because it's Cut the Crap. We've made it a cool thing, but it's hard. Like it's hard to actually say like can't lie I lost, can't lie I was broke, can't lie this, that, the other. So for us, that authenticity has now become our brand. Like it's raw, it's uncut, but it is hard. How did you get to a point where? Because you say it like it's effortless. Was you always like that?
No, for sure. No. And I mean, coming from an African background, no way. There's one of those things that's like, you're not allowed to eat biscuits if you go to your auntie's house. You're not allowed to tell anyone you're hungry. You're not, there's so many things, right? And I think it got to a place, it was, 2016, when I tried to take my own life. I remember, it was 2016, I tried to take my own life. And I remember I had come off social media for about 6 months. I'd come off social media for about 6 months, and I came back and I went on Snapchat, and a lot of people had a lot of messages. And a lot of people were like, where have you been? And I came on Snapchat and I was kind of like, bro, like I was in the darkest place of my life, and I actually tried to take my own life. And I had about like 100 to 200 people who reached out to me on my Snapchat who were like, oh my gosh, I can relate. Like, I've actually been depressed. And I'd actually realised that a lot of people had actually been facing things and they weren't honest with others, but they also weren't honest with themselves. Like, it took me sharing that made them reflect with themselves and ask them if they're actually happy. And around that time, like, there was a young girl who had committed suicide, and I think she was around 15 at the time, because I was 18 when that happened. So she was around 15 at the time, and I remember it was being a trending topic on like social media and talking about, oh, we need to be more open about mental health and stuff. And I thought to myself, I don't want to be those people who does, you know, thought pieces on Twitter/X, and I'm not actually making that change. So I actually started now being open and honest about the fact that, yes, I tried to take my own life. And it was kind of like, I tried to take my own life, and what? Like,
yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, unfortunately, they go through their hardships, but, you know, they want to show the highlights. And I always say, like, with social media, don't show the highlights, show the real. And, you know, it's obviously a play on words. You can tell I'm a rapper. So, yeah, like, don't show just the highlights, show the real. And for me, my most booked keynote in terms of when I do speaking engagements is being a real model, not a role model. And that's being inspired by Tupac Shakur, that he comes and says that I want to be a real model, not a role model. And role model actually feeds in perfectionism. And growing up in the era that we grew up in with social media, people are always posting the highs. They're always posting like the highs and stuff. Like, I always come and say, like, earlier this year, the first half of the year was like the hardest time of like my life. Like, I'm just newly married, so I'm adjusting to me and my husband.
Congrats, by the way, and also big up Sterling as well, because we've spoke as well, man.
Yeah,
I love what you lot are doing, man.
And he shouts you out as well.
Yeah, big up, man.
Yeah, so navigating that, and then also moving out my mum's house, and then basically like where I was living rent free in my mum's house. I was a baby. I was literally I was living my soft life in my mum's house. So now I'm a wife. Like, I'm literally like, also, there's the bills to pay. Like, you know, I have to cook, I have to clean, and then on top of that, I'm doing business. Then at the time, my speaking career it just hit a bit of a post-COVID. Speaking had changed, so it went from obviously in-person events to virtual to now both, so hybrid events. So at the time, I felt like there wasn't as many events or things happening that was obviously going to be able to sustain me. So even though I was having 5-figure months, it was like my expenditure was crazy, because also there was things that I had to pay off still for my wedding that happened a few months ago. And there's all these things that were just happening. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, like, so financially we're getting hit. I just felt like I was stressed, I was overwhelmed. So I took up, actually, a lot of people don't know this, that earlier this year, I was actually working as a PA for somebody. So even that as well, like working as a PA.
This is you're already popping.
Right. So it's humbling, because it'll be one of those things where even like the person that I was with, I would be like with them, say for example, like we're going out to eat or whatever, and I'm working, and there'll be someone they're in a meeting with, and they'll be like, how the hell is Hayley your PA? Do you know who this girl is? Yeah. And it would just be like, huh? Like,
how did that, like, obviously on surface we get, but how did that really feel though?
No, it made me feel like, damn, like, like, Hayley, you should not be here. Yeah. Like, it made me feel like, you know that quote that comes says, like, if you don't work on your own dreams, you'll build someone else's. Yeah. I felt like I was building this man's dream. And I sacrificed my own. And I just felt like it was in those moments, like, yes, it was humbling, but it was also that reminder of, I'm not a small girl. Like, I'm not no small girl in this game. I'm not no small girl in speaking. I'm not no small girl in terms of my business, in terms of my personal brand. So it was one of those things where I had a conversation. I was just kind of like, I can't do this. I'm not gonna lie, I had no plan. When I left, I had no plan. I was like, I can't do this. Like, it was good pay.
So just to get a timeline, so you said that was January?
No, yeah, I started working a week after, like 2 weeks after my wedding. So from October.
And why was that? Because the margins weren't making sense.
Yeah, so literally financially just wasn't making sense. I needed something that was going to be obviously stability, and also at the time my husband was working as well. Had to pay certain things. So for me at the time I was like, let me focus on stability and security rather than risk. Because with speaking, it's kind of like, even though yes, I am like a high paid speaker, it's one of those things that it's kind of like at the time, you could get a really good month, and then there's no bookings for 3 months. So even though I'm getting like a good, like I can get like a 20K month, it's like I don't know what the next month is saying.
Yeah.
So at the time, I was just thinking, okay, cool. Let me just settle for stability.
Which sorry to interject, but I think is a very important thing for people to take note of.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
We've had to, in the business, there's been times where we've had to make decisions for stability over risk. And I think when it's hardest as well is when you're naturally a risk taker.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm by nature, I'm a risk taker. So for you to tell me like, okay, we've got to get a bit sensible, I'm kind of uncomfortable in the sensible, if I'm being honest. Do you get what I mean? So that must have been quite a big adjustment, but also a sensible move though.
That was hard. That was definitely hard. And my husband, in terms of his actual professional career, he's actually an accountant.
Okay.
So it was one of those things where we had harsh talks. It was just kind of like, okay, this is not gonna work. Like this, and it was just kind of like feeling like I had a slap in my face and kind of like, wow, like all these dreams that I really felt like I wanted to do, it was kind of like I was living in my own head. That's what I said, because I was living in my own bubble, and I just thought, we'll make it work. Then it got to the point where it got a bit too late, and I just thought, okay, cool. I'm happy that I was able to get that job, and I'm really grateful for that stability and for that opportunity, because I think also in that time, made me realise, not to come and say that I would never work for anyone again, made me realise I could never be a PA. Because imagine being a PA and you have your own PA. Like I have a PA. I'm working as a PA and I have my own PA. So there'll even be sometimes, that I'll even ask my PA, I'll be like, nah, do this for me. Like, because it was overwhelming. Like sometimes I'm like having to do emails, I'm booking trips, I'm doing this. And I'm going to my PA, I'm kind of like, nah, like, I don't know. I literally sent a long paragraph to my PA and I was like, I appreciate you so much. Because now I actually know like how intense it is.
But to do that takes a big removal of the ego.
100%.
And I feel like I needed to do that.
Like, you see, like, when I was going through a lot of that stuff, like, the idea of doing certain things, it becomes hard. This is why I say it's a mask, because it shouldn't be, in the sense of it shouldn't be hard. Like, it shouldn't be, like, all of that is really just nonsense. Why I rate you for that, and then it's something I learned in my journey, is that when you think you can't, no, I actually can't be a PA for this person, that's because you're wearing the mask and you're wearing it so much that it's stuck. Like, you actually should be able to pivot. You actually should be able to go to 9 to 5. Like, who told you shouldn't? Like, obviously, it's that thin line, which I think is interesting, between having high standards, and I go through this battle all the time, having high standards, but at the same time, accepting something for what it is. But for me, and I don't know how you feel about this, but the idea of accepting something for what it is mad to me.
I feel like, as I said, I'm a person of faith, and the church that I'm at now, I was the first ever member. So I started the church with them, and I've been in that church now for about 8 years. So I've been the person who has literally like packed up the chairs, been the person that is, greeting people, doing the admin, doing the marketing. Like, there's something that my pastor says, and it has stuck with me for my whole life. It comes to say, if you're too big to lead, if you're too big to serve, you're too small to lead.
Okay, sit.
And it's true. Like, if you think that you are so big that you can't serve, honestly, you're too small to lead, because leadership actually is service. Leadership sometimes, I think now I'm a better leader because I put myself in that position. I'm more empathetic towards my PA. I'm more empathetic towards people that I work with. I have better boundaries with the people that work for me, because of the fact that I feel like in my previous job, there wasn't that many boundaries, in my opinion, because I feel like I didn't know how to say no, and I didn't know how to manage my time well. So it got to a place where it got overwhelming. My boss was kind of like, Hayley, like, what's going on? You're slacking the ball. Like, and the time that I was going to Dubai, I wasn't even telling him that I was going to Dubai, because I was too scared to even tell him I was going to Dubai. So he's literally finding out, like, on the day, oh, by the way, I'm in Dubai. And he's thinking, what the flip? Like, and it's them ones where it's kind of like, even whilst I was in Dubai, I was like, don't worry, I'll work. I'm getting up, because obviously it's 4 hours ahead. I'm getting up, like, early in the morning to make sure, or sleeping late early in the morning to hit certain deadlines, because I didn't want to be honest about, I just didn't want to be honest about and say, oh my gosh, like, I'm scared. I don't know how to explain it. The best way I can say it is that even when I was the PA, I was too scared to shine.
So you were dimming a lot.
So I was to a certain extent, because I wasn't actually telling my boss, actually, like, no, I'm actually going to Dubai because of this. Then it got to a point where he actually was somebody who was really rooting for me as well, and how I actually connected with him because of speaking. So it was one of those things where I just kind of said to him, I was kind of like, I just feel like it's my time to like jump ship. Like,
So this was all this year?
all this year.
So really your scale has happened. This year's been the year for you,
Yeah, this has been
Yeah.
definitely like, I would say, you know, they come say golden years.
Yeah.
It's definitely been one of my golden years, but it's also been one of my darkest years as well. When I think to that, but I feel like there's no glory without story.
Yeah.
Like, I think the reason why I'm able to speak the way that I speak now, even though I've been doing speaking for 10 years, the reason why I can be so open and kind of say like, guys, there's times and seasons. Like, even though earlier this year, yes, things were hard, and it's not to come and say I don't have my hardships now. Everyone's got their hardships. Everyone's got the things that they're battling, they're going through and they're facing. However, I would say, you know, it's in the valley that you learn your greatest lessons. Like, I think the reason why I'm at this mountaintop is because I didn't just, you know, I didn't believe that that season of my life just happened like to me. It actually happened for me.
Yeah,
I
big
needed
fact.
the first half of the year.
Big fact.
I needed to be at a place where me and my husband only had £100. Like, I needed to be at a place where we couldn't even afford to like go into London because obviously we live outside of London. I needed that time when I'm asking my mother-in-law for money. I'm asking my mum for money. Like, to the point where I remember asking my mum for money. My mum was kind of like, you got money. Like, you're a big
That's the
speaker.
perception, isn't it?
And then in my head, I just came and said, please, mummy. I said, please, I don't have anything. I have £30 to the point where, like, you know, early this year, I'm going to my mum's house. I'm taking things from the fridge. I'm like, I'm not doing shopping here. This is my mum's. I'm doing shopping at my mum's house.
So how do we? So obviously, for anyone who's watching, we like to just flow in conversation. So we haven't done no quote unquote formal intro. It doesn't take a genius to work out what you do.
Yeah.
But just for those who don't know, like list out, give us all the heights.
Yeah.
Give us the clout, the achievements. What is it you do, and why are you in the position you're in?
What is it I do? So my name is Hayley Melunda Records. I'm a public speaker. So I work with different FTSE 100 companies and Fortune 15 companies. Some of my clientele has been Microsoft, Google, JP Morgan, Clifford Chance, the Perfume Shop, KPMG, Cooperative, Wagamama, IBM. So I've worked with a lot of big companies, Unilever.
And when you say you've worked with them, you're in there speaking to...
Yeah, I'm speaking either to, normally C-suite leaders. Okay. So worked with the CEO of Wagamama. I've actually worked with the CHRO, former CHRO of Unilever, who's now the CEO of Chanel. Worked with the CEO of Unilever, worked with
I'm hearing a lot of $1 million brands here, man.
of Microsoft.
There's a lot of $1 million brands. There's some real brand therapy, man.
Yeah, so I've worked with some pretty big brands. You know, I'm very grateful to God for that. And yeah, so I do that as in terms of my actual career, and then on top of that, I actually run a course where I actually teach people how to actually make money from public speaking and how to be better in the area of public speaking, because I believe that a lot of people are not effective communicators. And I feel like you may have something that is 10 out of 10. You may have a product that's 10 out of 10, a service that's 10 out of 10, or you may need to just be a better communicator for your teams in terms of, you know, as a leader. And I always kind of say that if you've got a product that's 10 out of 10, but your communication is a 2 out of 10, people think your product's a 2 out of 10.
You would say, yeah. I'm going to be a big nuisance. I need to go to the toilet. Carry on the convo. I need to go to the toilet.
Yeah, people will assume that your product's a 2 out of 10. So for me, it's about teaching people how to be effective in terms of communication. But yeah, I've been doing speaking for about 10 years. And then on top of that, with me and my husband, we help people create courses. So my husband will do the marketing side of building courses, and I help with the content. So I actually help people actually fine line, like, take all the information, what are they good at, and actually put it into course content.
How long have you been doing that part for?
We only literally just started. Literally just started in June, July.
Okay, cool. So at the start of the year, I know you were saying that things were a bit slower. Things are lit now.
Yeah.
So what changed? Like what happened? I know you stopped doing the PA role.
Yeah.
What changed to now? Like what was the journey to get to now?
I took the leap of faith. Like, I had actually released a course in 2020. Yeah, so I released my course in 2020 called Speak Up. And I remember I released it at the price of £200.
Yeah.
And I had 11 people. And every single person asked for a refund because the systems just weren't in place. I'd done it alone. I tried to rush it. And I also done it from a place of fear. I didn't do it from a place of faith, because I believe both are actually the same thing. I just believe that one is inverted.
I can't lie, you got to slow down, man. Because
It's too many punchlines.
Yeah, there's too, like, I can't lie, you're a punchline queen, you're going crazy. Let's go back to, like, what you just said about the, like, selling it and everyone wanted refunds. Because this is cutting the crap, so let's cut the crap, We've all been through situations like that. Not to the well, I haven't been. He's more experienced in regards to the online space, but I know you've got your fair share of. Let's do like your fair share.
Do you know what?
It's
what I always think about refunds, and I feel like Hayley, you might be in the same boat. It's where, it's like the actual product is good.
So good.
So and it's good, but it's like you said, it's the systems that let it down.
And
so
the communication of it.
Yeah, 100%. So that was always what it was with me. I was very good at what I did, but I could be lax sometimes, and then I wouldn't let people know what was going on. And then even though if you let me work, things are gonna be good. It was my communication with them. It was like after they had been sold, they were just left in the dark.
Literally, and for me, as I said, effective communication. I mean, this is why what you guys do is actually important in the area of sales. Even though I'm a public speaker, I'm not sales trained. Yeah. So for me, I'm literally just waffling. At this point, I'm just kind of like, you guys, if you get this course, and at this point, it was literally just leaning on my expertise.
Have you had sales training now?
No, not yet.
Do you think at the time you oversold it, and that's why people wanted their money back?
Yes and no. I think I also undersold it as well. But also, considering now 3 years down the line, in terms of how much money I've made, the type of clients I've also signed on, what I've actually done, how my brand has evolved. There's something my brother said, and my older brother, I always come and say, like, he's like my guru. I always come to him for wisdom. I remember in 2019, I was crying to my older brother, and at the time I was charging like £200 for a talk. And 2018, I was charging like £200 for a talk. And I remember going to my older brother, and I was kind of like, they don't want to pay me. Like, no one wants to book me. They're saying it's too much money. Because obviously at the time, the clients that were booking me, they're like, it's too much money. And he said to me, Hayley, don't worry. Like, even if they're not booking you, there's going to come a time that they're going to be really annoyed that they had you at that price. They're going to be really annoyed that they had you at that price and they never utilized it. There's going to come a time they're going to come back to you and you're going to be 10 times more, right? And I remember, like, that's my life now. Like, there is sometimes where people are kind of like, I wish we booked you at a time when you were £200, but now you got to go through my agent. And I signed to a really big agent, so you can't just come and sign to my DMs and be like, it's different. Like, so even with that and experiencing that, in terms of what I mean by underselling myself, is that at the time I don't think I really understood what I actually hold and what I carry and what I bring to the table. So even when I done the course, there was still a part of insecurity that I had. There were still ways that I was speaking and being like, oh yeah, like it was kind of trying to be timid and dimming my light. And I feel like 2020, that COVID period, it was a lot of healing for me in a sense of really learning to own my call, owning my purpose, owning what I actually bring to the world, and actually owning my light. And I had a lot of people around me that come and say, like, Hayley, like, you need to actually talk your crowd, because you're actually not no small girl. And I had a lot of people around me who were like, yeah, you're not no small girl. And I think somebody who was the most affirming is definitely my husband. Like, how I actually met my husband for the first time outside of Twitter, seen into my DMs, is that he actually traveled over 2 hours to come to a talk.
Sick.
And the first time I met him was actually when I was on stage.
Sick.
So I saw him walk into the room when I was on stage. And that's actually how I met my husband. And since then, he's been my biggest support. He was the first person that ever bought my book. He bought my book before I even had the physical copy of my book. Like, he's always been going above and beyond for my brand. And having someone like that, that's by your side, being your constant affirmation, like, it got me to a place I was actually like, nah, like, I don't care what anybody, my husband thinks I'm the real deal. So if my husband thinks I'm the real deal, like, it don't matter what any of you guys say. This is somebody, I'm the real deal. Do you know what I mean? And for me as well, like, being now, so being in that time when I refunded everything, it was humbling. I literally vowed to myself that I would never run a course again.
So the reason I want to stay on this point, because obviously this is real cutting the crap, and we all, like, all three of us here, we all talk about multi-six figures, and we're transparent about it, and there's no cap in our rap, and if they study our journey, they can see it. One thing I like, what I'm going to get onto with you in a bit, is I know you're like me, and you've got all the throwback, whole journey, and it shows the difference. But when those moments come, we've all had it at different moments. So he had it before we met. I also had it during this crypto period where I learned that, wow, like, it is really testing when people have invested into either something you've stood on or you're selling or whatever, and they feel a way about it. Now, for me, who I would say I've got very tough skin, been through hella shit, that was one of my hardest moments. Like, just because it's human beings that now feel like I was so used to being put on a pedestal, now it's like we're not happy with something, So for me, it really tests me. Even now, like, he'll tell you, like, where we balance each other out a lot is when we first, if we're really cutting the crap, when we first started working together, he's like, I like getting the clients on board, but the service delivery is just jars me a bit. And I'm like, no, I enjoy it because I love talking to people, but I don't like that bit. So we balance each other out. But the reason I want to really label on this is because people that are looking to get into the space that we're in, or even just sell anything online, this might happen. Yeah, people might complain. And sometimes, I don't know what the scenario is with you, but sometimes you have to take it with a pinch of salt because it isn't actually always because you've done wrong or because you delivered wrong. And also on the flip side, you also have to be able to criticize yourself and say no. Like Camden said, there's certain times where the communication ain't right. Like one thing I've learned the hard way is every client needs a different type of service. So there's type of clients that are like me where it's like, update me once a week, bro, no problem. I know you're working. Then there's others that we've got, like we've definitely got in our business, where they want
once a morning,
every minute of the day. It's like, so I feel like helping people to navigate through that and setting, is there anything you would say is like good advice to someone who's going to get into that position or sell something?
As I said, there's times and seasons. Like there's going to come times when you have your golden years or your golden months or your golden days, and there's going to be times where you're going to have your low days. Like there's been days that we've had for the course where we made like a 20k day. And then there's been days where we've literally had nothing. And then I've been angry at my husband. I've been like, we haven't made anything. And that was even this week. I was like, we haven't made nothing. Like, we need to get on our Zoom. We need to get.
Oh, no, we know all about that.
And then there's been times when it's like 20k. I was like, hey, America, let's go. Like, pay for my trip.
That's what you just went. I was
like, let me go. I was like, hey, 20k, let me go abroad for a month. Oh, let me go. And it was having those moments and just kind of being like, raw, like now, going back to now, we're actually back in the UK, actually looking at everything and just being like, raw, like we've actually had good days in the course, we've had bad days, and we've had, even in speaking in my career, I've had good days and I've also had days where it's kind of like, haven't necessarily been paid. I've done a talk where I've been paid £0 for it, and I've had a talk I've been paid 20k for the exact same talk. So you can imagine, I've seen all types of budgets, right?
So I want to jump in there because me and Cam, we like to talk about numbers. Yeah, we're big on figures. And the reason why we're big on figures, before we even go into that, is not even from a flexi point of view, but I think there's a few, in fact, there's a few things. He said something that I like, is that we like to separate ourselves from them boys. And what I mean by that is that everyone can come online now and look like they're an online coach. It's not hard, if we're being honest. It's not hard to make short form content. It's not hard to hire a little TikTok editor, get it all done. It's very easy to position yourself. When I had a prejudgment about this space, if I'm being honest, so I'm a little bit different, probably even to yourself and to Cam, in the sense of I used to see this all as just online noise. I didn't actually believe anyone. Like from FBA to drop shipping to personal brand, whatever. If you were selling a course online, I thought cap. So, and obviously that's shifted for me. And the reason I like to talk about that is because there's probably loads of people watching us that are not sure, or they think, is this true or is this that? So you just said you got paid 20k for one talk, was that right? Yeah.
I've had 20k.
What was the process of that? Like why was that more of a payment? Like what was, talk to us about that.
Well, it was a really big client, number one. I've mentioned obviously big clients to you guys. It was a really big client, and it was me shooting my shot. You know, prior to that 20k speaking engagement, a lot of people don't know that the most I had been paid for a talk prior to that was 2k.
Okay, sick.
Yeah.
What, you done the ballsy play?
I just literally, it was just kind of like, what's the budget? And I just came and just went all the way. I just kind of like, yep, boom, 25. Then they're like, oh, that's a bit too much. And then we just negotiated all the way down. So, and I remember at the time when I was speaking to my peers, because no one at the time had really seen that money in the area of speaking, and this goes back to the first thing in terms of, in order for you to hit six figures, you need six-figure friends. And the reason why I say that is because you need that exposure. Because at the time when I was doing speaking, because I was quite far ahead, when I was having the conversation with different peers of mine, they weren't as established in me, with all humility. So when they were telling me the prices, it wasn't necessarily from a price of, I've actually seen 20k. So it got to a point where I had a mentor of mine who's like way older. He's like in his 60s, and I've seen him with my physical eyes. I've seen it, an invoice where he's been paid 65 bags for a talk. So when you've seen stuff, and 100%. I just always feel
he's
like
a public speaker as well.
He's a public speaker, and I feel like, you know, in order for you to attain something, you need to see it.
100%.
So when I started spending more time,
that?
Yeah, I do.
Do you know why I jump in there? Because I'm a big believer that you got to believe it first.
Yeah, but you have to see it.
As in, see it tangibly, or do you see it in here? You mean?
In see it in here, like literally walking by faith and not by sight. Literally, if you don't see it here, you're never gonna hold it here.
Yes, got you.
You will never hold it here.
Agreed.
So it was when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is, and I'm that type of person. That's how I learn. If you show me something, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm that type of person. As long as I see it's possible,
Same.
I will do it.
That's
so
yeah,
as
that's
soon as
really
I thought
good.
it was
That's true,
possible,
yeah.
so literally a year from meeting that mentor to getting that talk, that was about like, let's say a 6-month period. But prior to that, I had never got paid anything more than 2K.
Yeah.
Prior to that, and I had been speaking for 5 years. So it took literally me seeing something for that shift to happen. And that is why I'm so open about what I do.
Yeah.
Because I'm hoping and I'm praying that people will see my figures, see what I do. And they're kind of like, actually, I can shoot more. The people that I coach, literally the boot camp that I have at least 6 of them that have booked international talks.
Sick.
One of them's already made 8K more from public speaking. One of them's already signed into a big speaking agency in this country just because I showed them it's possible. And I'm not insecure that I will hold back information. I'm secure enough in my path. I'm secure enough in what I have. I'm secure enough in the path for me that I will more than happy help somebody, because a lot of people are very insecure. That's why they don't tell people this is what I do, things and stuff like that.
So go on.
Do you know why I find it interesting just about price? I always find pricing interesting because it's a lot more arbitrary than people think. So it's like you said, you did the same talk for free and you done the same talk for 20K. With anything you're doing, with like a course, you could sell a course for £200. You could probably sell that same course for 20 grand.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
the
just,
course is 1K now. So
yeah, it's just to different people, different places. And it's like, we feel like most people think that price is just a set price, but it changes for everyone. What's worth 20, what I'll pay 20K for, you might pay 100K for, you might pay £20 for. It changes so much. And I feel like letting people know that lets people get a bit braver and actually push the boat out a bit further and say, you know what, no, I want 5K for this. It's worth 5K, bam, it's 5K.
I think it's super important letting people know. And do you know why? Because I still feel really fresh to this space. So I feel like even sitting between both of you two, I feel like you're way more experienced with charging people that are online following. See, I even get funny about even saying that, because there's this thin line, and I want to talk about this taboo of selling to your audience, yeah? And another thing that really took me to you is that you've got a rawness about it. It's like, you don't really feel a way to make it clear that you're selling to your audience. And I feel like people think that's a bit bad or a bit negative. And prior to me getting into this space, like when he was talking to me about pricing, like again, going to the seat, you got to see it to believe it. It took him showing me certain things, and then shout out Danny Allen Page, another friend of mine. He shared his screen and showed me the spreadsheet and showed me a certain person in a similar space to us that's investing 30K in ads and got like 180K as a return. My mind was blown. Not because I had never seen those figures, but I never believed people online was making those figures. So even like us getting you on this platform, and what we're looking to do within this space is to start connecting the dots with people that, like ourselves, who realistically, our hustle is online. We're internet money babies, realistically. And you even say like the 20K for 1 gig, even to me, I'm like, yeah, all right.
Where do we sign up?
I'm thinking, you know what? Like even I'll be honest, I'm even thinking public speaking. I've been doing that all my life. Like, what? How do we get in touch? You get what I mean? So I think it's really important that we talk about figures. Prior to that 20K, you said you wasn't making stuff like that. So what was you making prior?
Prior to that, the most, as I said, I got paid was 2.5.
And that's a one-off, but like what monthly was you, like what was your life looking like?
Monthly, I probably would say probably about £500.
A month? Yeah. Really? And that was your only income?
That was like, and then on top of that, I was either working for my mentor or working like part-time.
You're a real student of the game, innit? You spent a lot of time learning the game.
I've some of the biggest speakers in the world I've been mentored by, and I've worked for them or I've studied them.
Sick.
Like I believe that if I'm being mentored by somebody, I'll serve them. That's just how I am. It's just that 2 out of the mentors that I've had have actually paid me. But I'm more than happy to serve, because as I said, like if you're too big to serve, you're too small to lead. So yeah.
Where would you say that line gets drawn? Because he always says something which I think is true, which is like we say things in our position, and sometimes someone can watch it and it can be frustrating because they're not nowhere near our position. So they could hear this, you should serve, and think, yeah, but I've been serving for a year, bro.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
but you'll know it. You'll feel the shift. This is why I think discernment is so important. Discern your season. Like I felt the shift when I was time to jump. And I think there has to come a time where you get to a place of applying the knowledge that you've learned. I have this whole thing about spending favor, and coming from a Christian background, there's a lot of times where you hear Christians say, praying for favor, praying for favor, praying for favor. Okay, all the favor's been accumulated, spend it.
Cold.
That's just how I am. If I'm coming to say, pray and praying for favor, like Favour, open the doors. Like, have you actually shot the shot and actually messaged that CEO who's on your LinkedIn? Like, I spend favour. Like, so for me, when I'm coming to say, I generally believe I'm a favourite person. My husband knows that the way that I walk into particular rooms, I have this thing when I say, if I'm in a room, I'm going to connect with the most influential person. Like, I always do it. And people look at me, they think, how the flip did you do it? Like, I'll get their numbers, and it's like, I don't even go there and I'm like I'll do something. Like, I was in a conversation the other day and I connected with an amazing woman. She's actually one of the producers for the Oscars.
Sick.
So it was a room, everyone was like, just chilling, stuff like that. And I was smiling at her. I didn't even realise who she was. And I went up to her, I was like, you have a beautiful smile. I ended up talking to her, she didn't give me her number. We ended up actually texting. And she ended up being the keynote for that event. She ended up speaking and she shared everything that she's done. And people were like, how the hell did you get her number? And I just said, because I spoke to her like a human being. I said to her, I like your smile.
Yeah.
But then also I had this idea of that I'm a favoured person. Like, if I generally believe I'm favoured, I'm going to spend my favour. So at that point, people around her were trying to connect with her and it was kind of like, didn't go the best way they did, but for me, it worked for me.
Have you ever put something out that you feel was mispriced?
Mispriced, 110%. I mean, even the course, this time round the course, I undersold it because I was too scared. It's my husband that's coming now and said, put all the prices back up because I was too scared. I was like, oh my gosh, like nobody's going to buy it. Like, I remember the day that I launched the course, I put everything down by 50%. And I had a boot camp. So I had my boot camp. My boot camp starts from 3K. And I started selling it on the day at 1.5. And literally within 24 hours, we had 25 signups. And that was the max that I had. So it was one of those things that something that I thought no one would ever buy. People were literally rushing and buying. There was a waiting list. There was all this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Has it ever gone the other way around for you where you feel like you've charged too much?
I've charged too much.
Do you ever feel you've scared a client away or a prospect away?
Yeah, I mean, I get people in my DMs all the time. Unfortunately, because of who I am, it's unfortunately, because of the fact that I'm open about my faith, because of the fact that I'm a young black woman, you'll have people who will assume that what I do is ministry. So they will come and be like, oh yeah, I want you to mentor me. I want you to coach me. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is my price. Oh my gosh, like, I'm thinking...
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'm always going to be, to somebody, I'm too expensive, and to somebody, I'm too cheap.
100%.
That's something I've learned in life. To somebody, I am too expensive, and to somebody else, I am too cheap. So even with some people who want to do, I've had people who want to pay 6K to be coached by me. I have people who want to pay £50 to be coached by me.
Yeah.
And to the person that wants to pay me, I had somebody that when I gave them my prices for being one-on-one with me, they booked it immediately because they said, because you're so expensive, that makes me know you're the real deal.
He loves that. He loves that. That's
what they said to me, and I was shocked.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, cool, sign me up." Like straight away, it was like a cut the crap.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Yeah, 100.
Now, price is an indicator of value. Just
110%.
generally, if something's expensive, you typically just think it's better. Even if you don't know, it'd be like on a wine list.
Yes,
you
sir.
typically assume that if it's expensive, then it must be good.
I mean, the most expensive thing, like this year has been my most expensive year. This year, I bought a Hublot and I bought my Van Cleef. And the way that I look after my Hublot and my Van Cleef are very different, to how I look over. I mean, I've got this is the most expensive thing after that Michael Kors watch. My Michael Kors watch is like £200. My Van Cleef is like just like under 5K. The way I look after it is very different. My Michael Kors, I can just drop it here. My Van Cleef,
100%.
I'm laying it down.
Yeah.
My Hublot, I'm laying it down. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit familiar with it now that I've had it for a few months. I'm a bit like, okay, cool, whatever. But when you go to Primark, when you're doing that holiday shop, like realistically, you're doing that holiday shop in Primark. After 1 day, 2 days, you don't even care about it. But if you're going to somewhere like, I don't know, like Ralph Lauren, or if you're going to a Hilfiger, you're going to, like these big stores, these designer stores, when you buy that, like the way you iron it, you are checking that ironing setting 30, you're making sure when it's exactly, like when you're having that designer thing, you're not doing this whole, you'll go in that setting, like even though my husband bought this year, both of us bought designer stuff, he will look and say, what is the washing machine?
Yeah, big fact.
But obviously if something's cheap,
cleaning, man.
you don't care. I need to even start doing dry cleaning.
I'm a big, I live in dry cleaning.
I need to start doing it.
Do you know what though? I think that's important for coaches as well. Because it's the same way that people are going to treat what you're doing. So for example, if you gave what you gave away for free, helped people to publicly speak and you just did it for free, somebody might watch it, they're probably not going to implement it.
They're
like,
not at
probably
all.
not. And then that would make you look bad service delivery wise,
Yeah.
because it looks like even though you've given someone value, they haven't implemented it, so they haven't changed. If you charge someone 10 grand and they put their all into it and now they've transformed their life, that makes you look special. But the only thing that's changed is your price.
Yeah.
You still offered
Fact.
them the same service,
Fact.
but now it's more valuable just because it was 10 grand.
Yeah, and the thing is my price will go up. 2024. I literally said to her, I literally said this 2023. I said this is my beta. This was literally me testing the ground, testing the waters, and now 2024, the price is going up. Not because of the fact that I think I'm too big or anything like that, but it's because of the value that I'm tapping into, and also the experiences that I faced this year. Honestly, they're not cheap experiences. I went through a hard time. It cost me.
Know,
You're
it's
talking something.
expensive.
Yeah.
But, all right, but let me ask you this though, yeah, because it's all like I agree. Everything you're saying, I agree with. But I also want to talk on behalf of the fearful.
Okay, yeah.
And what I mean by that is that, and also even on behalf of me, because sometimes as much as I can be like, yeah, cool, like our prices going up, this, that, and the other. Sometimes I get scared to put the prices up.
Yeah, it's
If I'm
scary.
honest, because then I think, because with high ticket, like I've been in high ticket sales like all my life basically, and I understand that I could call 100 times. I come from a cold calling background, so I could call 1,000 times and get 5 yeses. And the 5 yeses are 20k each, 100k. I'm nice. I get that. But it's scary. It wasn't scary to me before when I was in high ticket sales, but pivoting into this space, it is scary. The reason why for me, as I said, I'm a bit newer, so I've had to convert my audience that has just literally just been rocking me for years, free game galore for years, never charged anything for like 6-7 years. And then now it's like I'm pivoting. So sometimes we might sit there, obviously we've got the academy at the moment. And when we was thinking about the price at the beginning, I think he might have said, because we charge between 3K and 5K, I think you said 5K, right? And I thought like, bro, that's mad, bro. Like, I don't necessarily think, and even at the beginning when we done the boot camp, my boot camp I originally charged 2.5 and 3.5, 2.5 for the group and 3.5 for the one-to-one. And I was originally saying 1,500 and he was saying, go higher. Again, I'm thinking that's mad. But the reason I was thinking that's mad is because sometimes part of my audience, I know some of them, and I just don't think, and this is a gem for anyone, even getting into sales. I've sold myself, because we sell ourselves as well, that this is too expensive for them.
Yes.
And I found that space, and I still battle with it now, very hard to get out of, in the sense of just like you seem like you're gonna say 5K and just, and if it's crickets and no one's biting, then what? What are you on then?
Yeah, because this is what I feel, bro. Like, I feel we have to remember the environment that we're exposed to is 1% of the world. Like, as I said, to somebody else.
You're gonna love
Yeah, I said, like,
Thank
to
you.
somebody else, you're too expensive, but to somebody else, you are very cheap. Like, I've had conversations with somebody just even when I was in LA, and even when I went to LA as well. I told my husband we need to stay in a 5-star hotel because the type of conversations that we're going to be having with people is going to be very different. And even I was speaking to this guy who literally is the construction guy of all the Rodeo Drive, all the people, all the big stores at Rodeo Drive, all the designer stores. He's the person that is constructing it. I literally came and said to him, yeah, I'm a public speaking coach. He was kind of like, I need help with public speaking. So cool, like tell me your prices and whatever it is, we'll sort it out.
Okay, that I feel you on, yeah, and that happens to me a lot. But your audience, yeah. So obviously you've got, how many followers you've got now?
I think like just under 35K.
How long have you built that up for?
On Instagram, okay, so TikTok I've built up for a year. So
Okay.
TikTok is, I think, 48K. My Twitter is 13K. My LinkedIn is 14K, and my Instagram is 35.
Okay, and that's been built up for years?
Yeah, so I've been on social media probably since maybe like 2012.
And when did you, what's your strongest platform for conversion on the course?
Instagram.
Okay, so looking at your Instagram following, did you, prior to selling to them, have a bit of an attachment to them of any kind?
Yes and no, but I think people on my Instagram have always known that I've been, I've done like events, webinars. I've been doing events and webinars from probably about 2017.
So is there no part of you that when you, because obviously bumping someone in real life, say a
Yeah.
public speaker, and he's already a certain type of person, I get that. But your actual audience, like selling them something that's high, because what I find is people like us, we usually attract people that are on the come up or don't necessarily have that money. Again, I might be going mad.
Yeah.
If I'm going mad, I'm going mad,
Yeah.
yeah? So did you find any difficulty with converting them or?
Yeah, for sure. But there's something that my husband said, which is like him being a marketer and stuff like that, I haven't actually tapped into my Instagram audience. Like, I've just been doing Instagram stories. I haven't actually messaged a lot. Like, in terms of like what you said, in terms of cold calling, I know that I could probably be making a meal if I actually really went and done the cold calling and actually really went into my thing and actually sold it properly. Like, but the thing is that I know I'm going to do it. That's like the aim for 2024.
Yeah.
But the thing with my audience is, because I'm a person, because there's 4 different pillars that I have. I've got my speaking thing that people follow me for. I've got faith things that people follow me for.
Yeah,
I've got business things that
same.
people follow me for. Then I've got my relationship that people follow me for.
Yeah.
Because I've got all types of people that follow me.
Yeah, same.
I've got people who are like, yeah, like, how much is it for 101? What is this? Okay, cool, I'll pay it. Now I've got some people kind of like, I only have £2 to my name. Pray for me.
Yeah.
So I've got all types of audiences, and for me, I will meet people where they're at. So for me, it's kind of like, listen, I always say to people, if they can't afford me, kindly, I actually do free webinars. Often I do, and I'm willing to give value because I like to give value. I'm like, listen, if you can't afford it, come onto the free webinars. Cool. If you want a low ticket, I'll do my events. My events are like £20, £30. Come to my events. Now, if you want the serious business, I also have something in terms of my course 1K. Now, if you want one-to-one with me, now that's a different price. If you want my bootcamp's starting from 3K. So I've got something for all of my audience. So no one can come and say, oh, Hayley's too expensive. I'm even launching something, even a subscription at the end of the year for people who actually want to be part of a community and it's low ticket value. I've got something that I'm about to launch. So I'm willing to diversify myself, that I can create different things for different people's income bracket. But I also understand and it's not to come and say because I do the free webinars that I've undervalued myself. No, it's kind of just being like, hey, like there's an option for you. But if you want all of me, because in my bootcamp they know me, if you want all of me, you're going to pay for the high ticket. Because the high ticket, I'm dedicated. So
What do you feel about what she just said in regards to meeting people where they're at and having something for everyone?
Yeah, I think that's good. And I think that's what we have. We have the community.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to what your thoughts were.
No, I think it's good. I think look, it depends who you want to be. If you could just be a savage and be, look, it's 5K and I'm turning my back if it's not. But then you can also cater to everyone. I think where the fear that some people have is that if you do cater to everyone, then no one's ever going to hit the highest ticket. But I don't actually think that's true. I think you get more people if you cater to
like,
people.
We are in the era of the power is in community. That is the era.
100%.
Like, community is everything. So for me, I'll give my community like as much as me as possible.
Yeah.
When you say your community, as in people that have taken a step to not just the followers, or do you mean just
really
the followers?
engage with you. So even like my Instagram channel, I have like 1.7K people on that Instagram channel.
Yeah, I saw
and that
came.
Yeah, and that came quickly. Like
you actually made me start one. That was when I started.
And it's about community. That's the era that we live in. When you think about influencer culture and how we went from celebrity culture to influencer culture. Celebrity culture was seeing Michael Jackson flowing blanket over in Paris, and everyone, all the paparazzi are like, oh my gosh, and it being the front page news. That is celebrity culture. When we see Mariah Carey, and the only way you'll see Mariah Carey is if a paparazzi catches her and puts her on the front cover. Now, influencer culture is Mariah Carey would be so irrelevant if she was not doing TikToks. So at 1st of December, I kid you not, 1st of December 2023, Mariah Carey will be on TikTok
getting ready for the Christmas
All I Want for Christmas. And she will do dancing videos with her child for All I Want for Christmas. Because she's understood. We're in an influencer culture now. We're not in a culture where you have that exclusive, oh my gosh, who's Mariah married to, whatever. This is why, we've got the shade room, we have the shade bar, we have, people want the tea. People want to feel connected to you. People don't like the idea of they feel like you are too far from them. People like accessibility. This is why people like, I feel like keeping up with the Kardashians, it didn't make sense for this era anymore, because it was now the whole the only way you're going to get the exclusivity of their life was watching their TV program. But that actually was the transition mode. The reality TV shows came from that era.
They were kind of the goats of that.
Yeah,
really,
for sure they are. They've been the longest. They've been the longest.
They start reality TV?
No, they didn't start it because Ron's house was running way before that.
Oh yeah, of course.
But they've been the longest.
So wait, I just want to digest what you just said. So you feel like the pivot has changed because now people don't want to rely on this TV show. They want to see it more readily available.
People want humanity.
Yeah.
People want reality. That is why you've got people who just blow overnight.
Yeah.
People want reality. People want human beings. People want to see themselves in you.
Do you think there's and this is for both of you, do you think that you can be too accessible, that it makes it hard to charge on value. So I'll give you a prime example.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know who this person is. I know you do. Reese Barra. He runs
MTV.
Mania Devoir.
Yeah.
Now, he's rarely accessible. He rarely does interviews. If someone like him, or even, ironically, Clint from Cortez, these people are, or even Mikey from Trapstar, like they're very rarely available, yeah? If they were to turn around and put a course out of any kind, I know they wouldn't, but if they were, they could go mad, yeah? I remember when Reese done a Facebook ads book, and I think he did 50 of them and charged like £1,000, something like that, and it went like in a day, yeah?
Damn.
But that, I feel, is because he's so rarely available. Do you think that it can be a downfall that we're so available? Like I know I'm very available online in regards to, I put a lot out there. I feel like you are as well.
Yeah.
Like, what do you feel about that?
I do think there's a balance, but then I think there's a difference. You're never going to be able to give someone one-to-one time. Like one-to-one, if I told you everything that I could do, there's still going to be a lot of people that want to hang out with me and want to know Cam and want to be on one-to-ones with me. So I don't think there's any amount of content, value, anything I could put on my Insta, that will replace someone.
You don't think people sit there sometimes and think, I don't need to pay my man. He's all on his social.
Yeah, but that's fine. I think that's what, as people in the space, I think that's what we should actually be aiming to do.
Yeah.
Like I always say to people, there are no secrets in the, like a disclaimer, there are no secrets in the course that we're selling.
Yeah.
You can actually find it all online.
But
you're going to have to search, you're going to have to go through this, that. You're going to find a lot of crap.
As well.
Yeah, and exactly, and you're going to find a lot of rubbish where you don't know if you should trust it, you don't know if you shouldn't. The thing about courses that's good is it's a shortcut. You trust in one person, what you trust them now, you've bought into them. I know that all these 20 modules is all I have to do. I don't actually have to look elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's the helpful part of it. Yeah. So whenever anyone says to me, I can find this stuff online, I tell them, yes, you can. And in fact, you should. If you don't want to spend the money, then find it online. You're paying for this, you're investing in this for a shortcut. And I don't think posting online is going to ever change that.
S, you agree with that one heavily, innit? No, I agree. Because for you in property, it's shortcut things for you.
It's mad because the way I got into it, I done it the other way. I literally found it all online.
Okay.
But I know that if I found someone I trusted, I would have
saved your time.
I probably had more gems.
Yeah. What Hayley? What's your outlook on the course space in the sense of just generally, as general as that is? What's your outlook on the course space?
I think the course space is the future. I think it is. I think it's the future. I think it's now picking up, and I think people are kind of figuring it out and saying, hey, like this is actually a way that I can make money, and I think you should. I think it's if you're somebody that can add value and you can and monetize it, I think do it.
What do you think about the saturation of it?
The world is too big for it to be saturated right now. That's something that I just have this thing that there's something that I read that comes and says it doesn't matter how oversaturated something is. If God has called you to it, you're gonna prosper. I just have that. Just that belief, like if that is your path, you will prosper. If you're on that lane and you are meant to be there, you will prosper. And I think a lot of people, they care too much because of the oversaturation. They use it as an excuse. And I think at the end of the day, as I said, you can either focus on the fact that you're going to fall or fly. Like you've got to take the jump regardless. And yes, you may stumble. Listen, I've fallen many times, but in every single cut, it's allowed me to be thicker skinned every single time I do fall. But also when you fall, when like, let's say for example, like going to gym, got a personal trainer and stuff, something that I've learned is that when you start, doing more techniques and stuff, like say, for example, falling, you can find your feet quicker. So I bounce back quicker now. So in any areas where, like,
I love that.
When I fall, I bounce back quicker because my feet now are just used to, getting ready. And I find that with courses, the most important thing is just being able to remember that, hey, like, I always come and say, for the algorithm anyway, for content, I say the algorithm always pushes authenticity. I think people are always trying to find what is it.
They need to start pushing the boys, man.
No, but it's like, it's only a matter of time.
No,
like,
100%.
It's only a matter of time.
Fact.
Like, I've been doing content since 2012, and I would say it's probably this year that my content's really started to reach numbers and stuff. So when I think about it, like, right, that's 11 years of posting content. Maybe not even, I think I've even been on like actual socials. I'm talking about Facebook and stuff, like 2008.
Yeah, same.
Like, even though I was young and, I didn't really know what I was doing, it's like, wow, like this is actually about like good 14 years of really studying the game.
I even want to touch on that as well. So I resonate with that a lot. I'm like you, like I was on Twitter when I was filming on YouTube before when it first started. I noticed you got a lot of your throwbacks. Even like when I look online, like you've got stuff from when you was a kid, literally.
Yeah.
How important or how impactful has that been for you? Because for me, it's been a game changer.
Yeah, no, it's for me. It's like it's my CV, innit? If I come and say I'm about it, you can't come. I always come and say, yeah. If I come and say I'm about it, just Google.
Again, you know.
Just,
Sorry,
what's wrong with you?
It's the water, man. Go
You've
on,
had
carry
one
on.
glass.
I know.
Whiskey's going mad.
But yeah, like if I come
Wait,
and
man
say,
said I had one glass, you idiot. I've had 2 bottles, bro.
if I come and say I'm about it, it's like there's evidence there, innit? Like there's evidence there, and I think unfortunately where we live in a world that people have a lot of crap. They talk a lot of chat, but there's no evidence to back it. For me, one of the things that I don't compromise on, all my talks get filmed. I will pay videographers to come and film my talks, but for the evidence. So if I come and say, yes, I've spoken at Microsoft, you go there, Google it, you'll see it. If I come and say I've spoken at IBM, you go there, see there, you're going to see it. Perfume shop, see it. Google, see it. All the evidence is there. So no one can come and be like, oh yeah, she's capping. Because a lot of people come and be like, oh yeah, I'm the speaker, or yes, I'm the salesperson, or yes, I'm this, but there's no evidence. And this is how people get scammed.
Yeah, 100%. I like what you're separating yourself from them other boys. Like we say. No, I hear that.
This is how people get scammed.
No, I hear that. So would you say content has been the driving force for
content is
what
king.
you do? Yeah.
Content
is king. Yeah, you hear that? Do you hear that?
Yeah,
Sorry, say that again, sorry, Hayley.
No, I asked. I done the layup.
Certain
I done the
they
part.
just do the business part, and certain man do the content.
Content is super important. I even just done a video today, and I was basically sharing about the fact that Paul Brunson, who is one of the guys for Married at First Sight UK, I think it was him that was sharing the fact that he released a video kind of early on in his career, had like 15 views, and Oprah Winfrey was one of the people. And all it takes is just one person to watch your content.
You had a mad story.
Yeah.
Your story was something along the. This is what someone told me about you time ago. But I didn't know who it was. That you got scouted from a video you done ages ago or something like that.
Yeah, so there's been different, like, even when I first started speaking, like, I would do videos on Instagram. I used to do videos, and it was like a teacher from a school was kind of like, hey, can you come talk to the kids? And that's actually how I started actually doing speaking outside of my school.
No, but I heard something about TED Talks or something. You did a video and it went...
Oh, yeah. So my most viral video, I was talking about the fact that, which is kind of similar to this situation. I was at a speaking engagement, and literally the person who was behind me saw my talk, and then they ended up booking me and flying me out to America and giving me a 15K.
And that's kind of what opened the doors for you.
That was kind of, that was where the shift happened for my speaking career. And even with that, like, a lot of people would be like, gas like 15K and stuff like that. Fam, I put 2K towards my videographer. I was like, this whole thing has to be captured. I was like, I'm willing to invest into it. Like, I put them in a hotel, I booked the flight, and I still paid them. I said, and that was my friend, that was my brethren.
Cold.
Like, when it comes to me, especially when it comes to working with me, like, anyone that works with me knows I'm always putting my community on. Like, if you come to me and you come and say, like, Hells, like, I want to do photography, I want to do video, if I genuinely believe in you, I'll pay your full price. And that's what I've been doing for years. And I think that's one of the reasons why I have prospered, because I'm not afraid to share my bread. I'm not afraid to share it.
I love that. I know we've... I can't lie, there's still a lot of things I still want to talk to you about. I know we ain't got loads of time, but what I did want to speak to you about...
We could do a part 2 in Dubai.
Yeah, 100%. Sales.
Yeah.
So obviously you're recognised and established as a public speaker, but you did also say that you didn't have sales experience. But I can tell why you are already. Like, you're passionate, you know how to switch it. What you do know about sales, like what's your outlook on how important that is for someone getting into speaking? Like, what's your outlook on sales? What is your experience with sales?
I mean, now that I do a course, sales is super important. Now, obviously, me and my husband are looking at ads and, you know, all that sales stuff and stuff like that. And especially now where I'm looking to do more one-to-ones and actually, like, I wouldn't say establishing myself as a coach, but that is a part of my brand that I know I haven't really tapped into. Sales is super important. I think the idea when you have a product, the idea of thinking because the product is good that it's going to sell is wrong. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. They think because my product is good, it's going to sell. Nobody gives a heck. As I said, your product could be a 2 out of 10, but if your communication is a 10 out of 10, that product will sell. Like, there's celebrities, their product is crap.
No, fact.
Their product is crap, but it's selling because of communication. They've got their friends come say, oh my gosh, this thing is great. And even when I think about, like, testimonials. I'm big on testimonials. That's one of the things I always collect. Testimonials is big. So I feel like when it comes to sales, I think it is one of the most important parts of, you know, one of the most important parts. I think about in the curriculum, like the maths is pricing, but science is sales. Like the science makes sense as to how the earth has been created, why we breathe, why plants, you know, photosynthesis. Like, it gives understanding to a lot of things, and that's what sales does. Like,
within public speaking, what
Yeah.
would you say are like the main thing? Let's say, for example, like I feel confident to speak publicly. We
Yeah.
do it. We're not public speakers, but we do it.
Mm-hmm.
But what would you say would qualify us as public speakers?
what would I say would qualify you as public
Yeah, like
speakers?
what would make us like? Because really, technically, right now, would you validate us as public speakers? Not technically, right?
No,
So
not
what-
technically.
what
I'll say
would-
that you're good at public speaking, though.
So what would make us public speakers?
What would make you public
Yeah,
speakers?
what
I
are the
think,
traits or the skills?
I think number one, call yourself one. That's
Okay.
number one. I think how you brand yourself is everything. So if you say you want to be a public speaker, be a public speaker. I'm big on saying that you're a public speaker because a lot of people, a lot of young people, especially on LinkedIn, I'll go in their title when I see something like aspiring public speaker. There's no aspiring. You are it.
Yeah.
That's period.
But don't you think aspiring is good because I can't lie, where I kind of disagree on that is sometimes people act as if too early. So
But I feel it's not acting as if, because my whole idea is, okay, cool, let's go into public speaking. If you want to be a public speaker, normally what I always say to people is go back to your old secondary school, because it's probably important that you go and give back. Make sure you capture that. And then come and say, hey, I do public speaking. The first thing is evidence. Have evidence of the fact that you're doing it. So this is why I always say to people, go back to your old secondary school. Go and do a talk. Capture it. Put it on LinkedIn. Put it on your socials. Be like, it was great doing a keynote speech in my old secondary school, and this is the takeaway, stuff like that. Get the testimonials from the young kids. Get the testimonials from the teacher. There, boom. That's how you do it. That's how I started. I started public speaking in my school. I was 16. Why did they listen to me for? Right? I was 16. I captured it, and somebody came
But
and
you've
said,
always been, like, from what I've studied within you, like, you was, what's the title when you're in school, like, running for mayor? Like,
I ran for young mayor when I was in year 11. Yeah.
So you've kind of
that's
been,
cold.
you know that person in school who's always,
that's
you know what I
cold.
mean, willing
Yeah.
to,
That's
like,
sick.
stand up for things and kind of lead as well.
Yeah.
I feel like that's always been in you, innit?
Yeah, no, for sure. But I think I allowed it to be in me.
Yes.
And that's what I
like
mean
that,
in terms of the fact that I didn't allow my environment to be, I didn't want to be a product of my environment. If anything, I wanted to be a thermostat and not a thermometer. And there's a difference between a thermostat and a thermometer. So a thermostat sets the temperature, thermometer absorbs
Cold. Do you know how many relapses in this? Cold. Yeah, that was cold. That was world class. that
I,
wasn't it?
I didn't even
That was
understand
world
that one at first. I had to-
Hayley, how much time do we have?
it. Literally, we have like 5.
All right. So what we're gonna do?
Yes.
We're gonna do part 2 in Dubai.
Okay.
But before you leave us,
Yes.
we've got a quick fire for you.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And I don't want you to take too long
Okay.
to answer.
Okay.
Bam, 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 bam.
Okay.
Yeah? All right. Firstly, fly or drive?
Fly.
Okay. Eat out or at home?
Eat out.
Okay. Savings or investments?
Investments.
Okay. Remote or office?
Remote.
Short form or long form?
Short form.
Okay. Instagram or TikTok?
TikTok.
Listen or watch?
Watch.
Edited or raw?
Raw.
A comforting lie or the uncomfortable truth?
Uncomfortable truth.
And last but not least, client acquisition or client delivery?
Client delivery.
Ooh, I thought he was gonna catch it. All right, cool. Yeah, man. Like it's been a very good conversation. To be
Yeah,
honest,
for
what
sure.
I'm even excited about is this is our first guest on our platform.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you.
And the flow has just been, do you know what I mean? This is exactly how we wanted it, just raw and calm. But we got to do part 2 though.
Yeah, for
'Cause
sure.
I can't lie, we could
I
carry
think
on
there's
for
I think
another-
there's more to come. I think there's definitely
Yeah,
more to
yeah.
come. And
Definitely.
I feel like, I definitely was connected with you for a reason. And
Yeah.
I think more, even just being in Dubai and even just having that same mentality, like there's something that you said which was very interesting to assume, like the fact that I'm a woman and the way that I think is very masculine. If anything, I'm trying to get more women to think like that.
This is gonna be our last point.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you've done this because that was a point I was gonna touch on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was gonna be like, do you feel? Well, firstly, obviously, someone could see you as coming across masculine.
Yeah, of
which is a
course.
bit mad
Yeah.
because I guess it's just your tone and
Yeah.
just because you're passionate and it's like, what are you meant to be like? Oh, I'm
Yeah.
Hayley. But how important is that? Do you think for a woman to come up in an industry like this, they've got to have a little bit of a edge to them, or?
110%, bruv. Like I was fighting punch. Like 110%. Like for me, I'm a young black girl from Ends.
Yeah.
I'm speaking to white companies. Like,
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
to be bullish.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have to be bullish. And for me, it's also being able to understand that this is a dog-eat-dog world. Like, this is not a world where things are flowery and things are glittery. You have to be
crap.
bullish.
Cut the crap.
You have to be bullish.
Cut
Like, if
it.
you want something, you got to push through that door. Like, there's no door that was set up for me. I'm not coming from a silver spoon. I went into particular rooms and was like, yeah, my name's Hayley, and what? Like, and
Wow.
it got to a thing where it just, as I said, like, authenticity is actually the thing that I believe that really pushed my brand. And it's also being willing to kind of be like, actually, I call out the truth. And actually be willing to come and say, listen, I'm not the most refined speaker. I'm not the most polished speaker. Yes, I'm not someone who speaks, you know, like Barack Obama, or I'm somebody who speaks like, I don't know, Lord Michael or whatever. But when you hear me speak, you're getting heart. That's one thing I always say. If you're getting me, you're getting heart. And I don't speak to ears, I speak to hearts. That's why I think I get booked.
That was it.
You know what?
That
I
was
just want
it.
you to say one thing for us
Yeah.
before we end. Can you say, I'm Hayley Melunda.
Melunda.
Melinda,
Yeah.
and I cut the crap.
Okay.
Please, can you just say that to us, please?
Hi guys, my name is Hayley Melunda Records and I cut the crap.
Wow.
Bow!